Well, good morning. It's Thursday, the 10th of July. The 10th of August. Jack the man who lives. It's the 10th of August, 2023. It is 8:31. The temperature is 17. It's going to be a nice day. We are looking at a little bit of summer. And we're also looking at a little bit of descent up in Westminster. Oh, dear me, no. The last 5 years, and actually 5 years before that, were all spent being fractious. Everybody falling out with everybody else. Nobody able to agree. And instead of doing it in a gentlemanly way and debating things, they all yell and scream at one another, slap one another in the face with cream cakes and half bottles of champagne and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, that's everything that's happening up there at the moment. So let's just take a look at the headlines, shall we? Because they affect everybody at the moment. The Express is the first one. It says a threat to quit the rights treaty if Rwanda is blocked, and that seems to be the mood in Westminster at the moment. Is that they're totally and utterly frustrated with the Court of Human Rights, which we sort of stayed with when Brexit. It keeps on stopping us from stopping immigration, which I suspect that for once the politicians have got their ear close to the ground and realizing just how much the unlimited immigration and illegal immigration is bothering the electorate. Nobody is suggesting for one moment that legal and approved immigration is anything other than right and just. It's the illegal stuff that is getting up everybody's nose. And the Tories, at least part of the Tories, have had enough. And Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick says he is very confident the Supreme Court will rule in favour of plans to send asylum seekers to Rwanda, but that he will do whatever is necessary to end the small boats crisis. The paper says his comments come after being asked whether the UK would quit the European Convention on Human Rights if the government loses the vote in the courts on Rwanda. And that is being interpreted as we will dump the human rights legislation and get on with handling this crisis in the way that we see fit as a sovereign nation. Not a bad approach, really, to be quite honest with you. It doesn't matter the rights and the wrongs of immigration and so on. The important thing is rule of law. And I keep thumping on about this. Is rule of law. If we've got the laws, then we follow them. If we don't like them, we change them, but we don't flaunt them. And that's what we're doing at the moment, particularly through, as some papers have put it, slippery human rights lawyers. Is you've got to play by the rules. Otherwise, all that happens is we descend into anarchy. And that's not good. So whether you approve of the bid to stop illegal immigrants or not, is the overriding concern must be rule of law. Otherwise, we'll be out in the streets without anybody to guide us. Lawlessness The Daily Telegraph is that the cabinet calls on the Prime Minister to ditch ECHR. That's the European Court of Human Rights. So once again, just the same story. The Eye. New talks on tented camp for immigrants in Essex amid the Tory splits on crackdown. The tents bought by the Home Office could be used to house thousands of asylum seekers at RAF Wethersfield in Essex. That follows talks with local groups and seems to have some sort of accord. That's according to the Eye. So once again, another effort to resolve this problem of almost having open door policies towards anybody who decides they want to come here. And if you support that, that's fine. But do beware that every time that you add another body, is our resources get thinner. The demand for cash gets more. You cannot support these sort of initiatives and then complain that your taxes have gone up, or that there aren't enough places in local schools. Every time we add a human being, then we need a certain amount of infrastructure to look after them. No complaints if you're acquiescent to this group of people coming in. No complaints if you can't have those things, because as the saying goes, you can't have your cake and eat it. Right. Well, now, let's see. The Daily Mail changes its tack. The Daily Mail changes to the other thorny issue of mortgages. And it has plastered across its front page, have we finally turned the corner on mortgage misery? The Mail asks whether the UK has finally turned the corner on mortgage misery after several high-profile lenders cut their rates. Halifax, the nation's largest lender, will slash the cost of its loans this week by up to 0.71%, the paper reports, which apparently is one of the biggest jumps of recent times. Jumps, I suppose, is in reverse, is leap backwards to modern times. The Guardian says that the cost of living crisis is forcing students to live at home, and it calls it the COVID generation. The Guardian reports that 1 in 3 students starting university this year may opt to live at home. That's what research says, that found rising costs and family needs were affecting the COVID generation, as it calls it, of school leavers. So that's a pity, because one of the great things about university is going away for the first time. It is testing your wings, learning to look after yourself, not have the nest necessarily to fly back to whenever there's a sign of trouble. Yeah, I went when I was 18. I went 5,000 miles, actually more, almost 8,000 miles to British Columbia to go to university. Boy, did I ever cut myself off. And even I, daring though I am, didn't appreciate just what I was doing at the time. And it is tough, believe me, it is tough. Right, okay. The Met Police is... The Times says the Met chief says, give us the power to sack rogues. The Times reports on comments made by the Met Police boss, Mark Rowley, who's calling on ministers to urgently push through legislation which would give dismissal powers to police chiefs rather than independent lawyers. Never realised that it was an independent lawyer that could sack a copper. Amazing. We learn something every time we turn around. Wow is me. Wow is me indeed. Okay. I think we can take that back. And the BBC comic is held for historic offences. It's the Metro. Comedian Hardeep Singh Kaur, who has been charged in connection with non-recent sexual offences. The 54-year-old was arrested following an investigation by the Times newspaper, which said several people had raised concerns about his behaviour. Now, the one thing that bothers me about historical stuff is we are judging by today's standards something that happened perhaps 10 or 15 years ago, which at the time wouldn't have raised an eyebrow. That's my main concern about that sort of thing. The Mirror. ITV hit by more bully claims. Dear. The media industry is certainly going through a very bad time at the moment with sexual claims, misbehavior claims, bullying claims, toxic atmospheres, you name it. ITV hit by more bully claims, and the Philip Schofield has been spotted in public for the first time in weeks, according to the Daily Mirror, which features an image of the former This Morning presenter leaving a West London restaurant with friend Vanessa Feltz. It comes as ITV faces fresh bullying allegations in the wake of the row that cost Mr. Schofield his job, the paper says. These things go on and on and on and on, don't they? The FT is a Chinese tech giants in race for $5 billion worth of NVIDIA chips to drive AI ambitions. So the Financial Times reports that Chinese tech firms are rushing to acquire high-performance NVIDIA chips vital for building generative artificial intelligence systems, following a series of measures unveiled by the Biden administration designed to limit the Chinese access to generation legislation which he approves. Right, I think we can take ITV. We mustn't ascribe things to it that aren't so. The Sun, Windsor Castle shock. Now, this is the cops swoop on a model stripping off in the King's Garden. I assume that's at Windsor. And there's a picture of her at the base of Windsor Castle. I tried to find a decent picture of a stripper to put up to illustrate this story, and I couldn't. They were all as lascivious as I'll get out. I can't be accused of titillating you at breakfast. Oh, dear, no. So I thought better let well enough alone. But the Sun is back to some of its clever headlines. Again, is it Shame of Thrones? The Sun reports that an OnlyFans model was told off by police after posing in a bikini outside Windsor Castle. Oh my goodness me. You can't make all this up, can you? You really can't. Now, as the working from home, it's the same theme because, as the Daily Star says, we're all taking naps, doing the gardening, and even enjoying a rumpy pumpy when we should be working from home, apparently. And his headline is On the Job. Oh dear, double entendre, double entendre. And it says data published in the Star suggests people are sneaking away from their desks to do other things other than they are meant to be doing when they're working from home. How long does it take for people to wake up to that? Is a bit of nonsense, bit of a nonsense indeed. Um, uh, oh dear. So those are the basic news headlines. The one that stands out mostly is that the government is preparing to dump human rights legislation, which holds back the sending back of illegal immigrants, or not necessarily sending them back, sending them to Rwanda, and other schemes that we've got for moving them out of Britain, essentially. And that's the main story of the lot. There's a whole variety of stories this morning, and no one stands out particularly. Now let me tell you that it's 8:47, and it is the 10th of August, 2023. And it looks as if it's going to be a fairly nice day. It's crept up to 18 degrees centigrade. The last couple of days, it's been stubborn, and it reaches this point in the morning, and it stays at 17 for some reason. This morning, it's nudged above that, and it's probably going to go over 20. So not a bad day, not a bad day at all. It's only in the sports section that we should be aware of. We don't take too much attention to sports, basically because it's such a movable feast, and none of the ten except on sports days. The game days, match days, there's not a great deal of. No, let's get rid of this. There's not a great deal of fresh news, as it were. But one of the interesting things that is, and it's more even a business thing than it is a sports thing, is the emergence of the very well-funded new football league in Saudi Arabia. And what they're doing is that they are buying up players and managers at a great rate of knots at vast fees, so they can actually establish a very strong league. And the Premier League, which is very, very wealthy and very powerful, has been asked whether it is worried by this surge into publicity and into prominence of the Saudis' football development and their football ambitions, because they've got the money to sponsor it, to support it. And the Premier League are saying, no. It's our status as the world's best Premier League, despite the rapid rise and huge spending of the Saudi Pro League, is inviolate, sacrosanct. I'm glad he's that confident. But for the moment, they are not going to get on their high horse about the Saudis. And actually, in some ways, I tend to agree with them, because since we're in the business at Mirador of reaching a plateau where we are now plotting to go to the next level, which is to expand our program base, expand our reach, that is how many people we can get to, and expand just our activities in terms of things outside this wonderful bar, the White Hart, from which we broadcast. So we understand the rigors of business, but it says the Premier League Supremo Richard Masters has said we people are interested in hesitating. Uh, well, it's, it's all very interesting. Oh, very interesting. I'm sorry if I paused there just to read a bit more about it. But what it says is English football has all the core ingredients: a rich history and tradition since 1888, a club in every community, home and away support, packed stadiums, and fast paced football. All the things that English football is known for are really hard to replicate. They are all part of the package that makes them attractive to sponsors, broadcasters, and critically, fans. What this chap Masters says, we're pleased with the way our competition works, with the amount of global coverage it gets, and how much global interest it gets. The support for all our clubs is been a hard journey to get to, and lots of investment has been made. And we are, it says, I got to turn to page 71, column 8. Carry on. Sorry about that. Let's see. Oh, there's only the inside page. Um, it approaches £6 billion a year. The Saudis want to raise the profile of their league. It's been around since the 1970s. There are 18 clubs in Jeddah and Riyadh, and this is not something that has been invented overnight. Obviously, they're trying to raise their game, their public profile in football in that country, and they are going through a period of trying to do the whole thing. They have spent £450 million on 20 odd players, and sight of the of 9 of which have come from Premier League clubs. Oh dear, the printing is a bit small for me to read, but basically that's the story on the sports pages. Not an ounce of sport, as I can see. Nobody's playing sport. Everybody's in business around sport. Is Harry Maguire is going to depart his club apparently. Let's see. Because they're declared really no hopers, the England rugby team is causing more interest than it would normally, working up towards the World Cup, Rugby World Cup, which begins later this year. England had head coach Steve Borthwick will seek to ward off the threat of a fourth successive Test defeat by naming a powerful side to face Wales at Twickenham on Saturday. Owen Farrell is set to return in the starting number 10 position and be captain of a reinforced Red Rose. He is likely to feature following feature the fellows Saracens, Billy Vunipola, Maro Itoje, and Jamie George, and Farrell at Stanlock Half. Well, all the story is saying is, do they stand a chance? I don't know, sometimes teams struggle like this and then suddenly come good after they get used to playing together. Difficult to say. Right, okay, where are we? We're 8:55. Now, just let me remind you that today is the penultimate day of Mirador is on the air for the summer season. We are going to take a couple of weeks, in fact, now 3 weeks from next Monday to September the 4th. We are going to stop broadcasting. We might do the odd special along the way, but generally speaking, our day-to-day activity will not be prominent. But tomorrow we got the two Bs, the two barristers. We got Melissa Conti. We got half a dozen others, all of whom may poke their nose in, and to say cheerio for 3 weeks. And then when we come back, we will have hopefully new ideas, new thoughts, new programs, and a new approach. That's what we are working at. And we are never asleep and never still at Mirador. It's not an easy proposition. It may look this great fun. All they do is they just sit there and talk each morning. Well, that itself can be a bit wearing, believe me, and you have to watch what you say. And you have to be very careful that you are not unjust and get things wrong. But there's an awful lot that goes into it behind the scenes, because like any other business, it is a business, and it has to be run and managed like any other business. We're lucky we've got a new manager who is taking a fresh look at things. I've got some good thoughts as well, I think. Good thoughts. I've got some thoughts about where Mirador should be going. And that's where we're at the moment. A 3-week break with possibly little bits and pieces here and there. And then a return on September the 4th, full of vim and vigor. Whoop-de-doo! Whoop-de-doo! That gives us an opportunity to catch our breath, re-water the horses, and try hard to be as useful to you as we possibly can. As for today, well, what we've got is our usual break for half an hour now. And then we will come back, and it's time for Liza Page today with the alternative view. I was talking to her last night, and she's been doing a lot of research. And Liza gets quite angry about what's happening, and is very keen to make sure that everybody knows what in her book is the most important things that are happening in our lives. So it'll be interesting to see what she has to say this morning. And then that normally it takes us through till 11 o'clock, and time for us to say toodle pip. And it is time for us to say toodle pip now, just for half an hour, and we will be back. We will be back, he says. So it's 8:59, just about to turn on to 9 o'clock. So I will say toodle pip. See you in half an hour or so.